The 10 o'clock news starts right now with a breaking news alert.
The sports world is shell-shocked tonight after the passing of a basketball legend. This is a live look outside LAX airport where it's up to the purple and gold tonight for Kobe Bean Bryant.
It's a terrible day for the NBA. Craziest thing is it happened the day after LeBron passed his Kobe's record. So it's very insane, surreal, and it's funny enough he died on a Sunday. He was God. He was the GOAT. So, I had to come pay my respects once we heard about it.
Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter were among 9 people killed in a plane crash. It happened earlier today in Calabasas, California. According to reports, Bryant and his daughter, Gianna, were on their way to a travel basketball game. Once news broke of this, reaction started pouring in all over the world.
Hundreds of children, teenagers, and their parents were waiting to meet Bryant at the Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks. When they learned of the crash, feeling of devastation started to set in. This is a picture from the academy. Everyone inside took a knee in remembrance of the basketball legend. The shockwave is being felt across the country as well as right here on the First Coast.
It was surreal. I seen the notices come across my Facebook page, and it was like, oh, dang, man. But then as the reports started to roll out, that's when it really set in that, hey, we didn't just lose a great, we lost one of the greatest.
News4Jax is covering this story from several angles tonight. Earlier today, as you saw Eric Avanier there speaking with some basketball players. He also spoke to our aviation expert, Ed Booth, to talk about the flight plan of the plane that is raising red flags.
And Danielle Juliana will have more on the conditions in South California before the plane went down. But first, we began by checking in with News4Jax reporter Maggie Lorenz. Maggie, you've been out talking with heartbroken fans all over town.
Scott, Janice, Kobe Bryant is certainly the top talker of tonight and is on the minds and hearts of pretty much everyone we have spoken with. Some we talked with say that they're just too shaken up to give any type of comment, but those we did speak with and interviewed say they're just in disbelief. This is Kobe Bryant. He's supposed to be invincible tonight. Hundreds and thousands of fans, they've gathered at the Staples Center where Kobe Bryant played with the LA Lakers to remember the NBA great. A group of fans also gathered in the streets surrounding the Calabasas hillside where the helicopter crashed just before 10 o'clock this morning, carrying Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 other people. Players and fans, they often refer to Kobe Bryant as the Black Mamba, the meaning of Bryant's Mamba nickname that comes from an alter ego that the legendary player created to try to give himself another edge on the basketball court. Today on Twitter, the term Kobe quickly became the #1 trending topic, followed by Mamba and Black Mamba. We asked fans in our area what the Mamba mentality means to them.
Taught me, just hard work, dedication, get you whatever you want.
Mamba mentality, it's a state of mind. When you're playing a sport, the harder it gets, the harder you play.
How big of a legacy do you think he's going to leave behind?
A great legacy, the best ever, I think, in my opinion.
Alan Holmes, who you just heard from, he says that he cried when he heard the news. He's been crying all day, that he grew up watching Kobe Bryant, and actually his basketball team here in Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Disciples, is completely modeled after the Lakers, all the way down to the jerseys and the colors. And coming up tonight at 11, we're speaking with more heartbroken fans here in our area. Reporting live tonight, Maggie Lorenz, Channel 4, the local station.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
And tonight at the Grammys, Kobe Bryant's passing was the most touching part of the night, as Alicia Keys was joined by others that sang It's So Hard to Say Goodbye. And she received some help from the group Boyz II Men, who popularized the song in the 1990s. Wow.
He spoke passionately about them performing in the Staples Center where Bryant played for so many seasons.
Los Angeles, America, and the whole wide world lost a hero. And we're literally standing here heartbroken in the house that Kobe Bryant built.
Now, according to the meteorologists in California, weather conditions were foggy and cloudy in the area where the helicopter carrying Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and several others crashed.
While NTSB investigators consider the weather as a factor in the fatal crash, they will also be looking at flight data that revealed something very odd. News4JAX reporter Eric Avenier is a former helicopter reporter, joins us live in the newsroom with more perspective on the crash investigation after speaking to our aviation expert. Eric, what did you find out?
Yes, so investigators are going to be looking at this flight path because as we can see, the plane took off from Santa Ana, but here's where things get a little dicey. The flight path was deviated over Glendale, where as you can see right up in here, it appears that the helicopter had been doing several, multiple tight circles or spins before it carried on. And ultimately crashed here. Now, here's something else we noticed also. We're looking at the flight data, and it shows that clearly right before the crash, that helicopter descended at a fast rate, and then it was as though, according to the data, that helicopter pilot was trying to get that helicopter back in the air at a very high rate. So this is what we have seen so far with the flight data. While investigators tried to determine the cause of this helicopter crash that claimed the life of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and several others, News4JAX aviation expert Ed Booth has been studying video of the crash site, and based on what he's seen so far, this was a high-speed impact into the ground.
When it struck the ground, it was either out of control or the pilot was somehow disoriented, or there was some sort of mechanical malfunction that rendered the helicopter uncontrollable.
Booth says investigators are also looking into the helicopter's recorded flight path. We can see the chopper leaving Santa Ana on a northwesterly direction, but when it gets over Glendale, the chopper makes very tight multiple circular loops before getting back onto a straight path. Booth says this is unusual, and it leads to a question about the helicopter's avionics.
Is this indicative of a control system problem?
The helicopter was a Sikorsky S-76, like the one in this picture. It's a powerful twin-engine, four-bladed main rotor chopper with some of the most sophisticated avionics and safety features you can find on a helicopter. The Sikorsky also has an excellent service record and is often used by both military and civilian executives.
You see a lot of them up in New York going in and out of the heliports there. Occasionally you'll see one in this part of Florida.
Now, Booth says the debris field from that crash site is so large and that the helicopter itself is so badly mangled and burned that it may take years before investigators figure out what went wrong. Reporting live, Eric Avenier, Channel 4, the local station.
Eric, really quickly, do you know why Kobe would so often travel by helicopter?
Yeah, Kobe often traveled by helicopter to avoid a lot of that traffic in and around the Los Angeles metropolitan area. He was even known to, when he played for the Lakers, he was even known to travel by helicopter just to get to practice. And that, of course, gives you an idea of how bad the traffic can be in and around that LA metropolitan area.
Thank you, Eric.
And we're still working to learn the identities of the other 7 people who died in the crash. Here's what we know about some of the other victims. They are John Altobelli. He was a baseball coach at Orange Coast College. Reports say that his wife, Carrie, and daughter, Alyssa, were also on board.
Another victim whose name has been released is Christina Mauser. She was a girls' basketball coach in the area. They were on their way to a basketball game where Bryant's daughter was going to play and he was going to coach. The impact of Kobe Bryant's death is also being felt in the professional football world. At the beginning of the Pro Bowl, Bryant was honored on the scoreboard.
That's right. News4JAX sports reporter Jamal St. Cyr spoke with players from the Jaguars who grew up idolizing Kobe.
Everybody who plays sports, you have respect for, the great Kobe Bryant. And so, hearing this news was devastating for all of us, but, we definitely all want to pay tribute and homage to him because he is, the epitome of what an athlete's supposed to be.
I used to play the Kobe basketball game on Nintendo 64. I mean, he a legend, he's young. He was, it's not like he was 80 years old, it's tough.
And again, that Pro Bowl in Orlando. News4JAX sports anchor Cole Pepper joins us now. Cole, you've said that Kobe was more of a celebrity than a basketball superstar, more like both. How did that happen?
Well, if you want to talk about the men who were the faces of the NBA for the last 40 years, you could talk about Bird and Magic and then Michael Jordan. Then Jordan really handed the honor off to Kobe Bryant. On the court, Bryant will be remembered as one of the most determined players in NBA history. He finished his 20-year career trailing only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Then yesterday he was surpassed by LeBron James, and his final tweet was acknowledging the accomplishment. Bryant spent his entire 20-year career with the Lakers, winning 5 championships, 3 with Shaquille O'Neal, and then 2 more without Shaq when Kobe won Finals MVP honors. The 18-time All-Star won All-Star MVP honors 4 times. He led the NBA in scoring twice and won the MVP award as well. He also won a pair of Olympic gold medals playing for Team USA. He became eligible for the Basketball Hall of Fame this year. He will undoubtedly be a first-year inductee. Scott and Janice.
Thank you, Cole.
Reaction will continue to pour in from all angles following the loss of one of the great sports legends of the world. Again, Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter were among several killed in that helicopter crash in Calabasas, California.
News4JAX will continue to follow any new developments from this story. You can get the latest updates when we're not on air by going to our website, news4jax.com, or downloading our news app.
And before we switch to our local forecast, we're going to take one more look at the wreckage, a devastating scene. But as you look closely, you can see some low-level clouds and some fog.
Weather Authority meteorologist Danielle Giuliano is standing by with more about it. Danielle.
Yeah, looking at our radar, that was earlier this morning, 10 o'clock Pacific time. Again, there were some low-level clouds in the area and some fog, which is very common for this area in Southern California. They do get a lot of sea fog. That happens very common this time of year and throughout all of the year, actually. So again, it did show up on our radar, but there were no warnings or dense fog advisories out at that time. So that's something to keep in mind. And we also don't know if weather was a factor with this crash, but we will continue to keep you updated. Locally, though, we are dealing with some showers in our area here. So we're going to be dealing with, if we bring up Weather 1 right now, we can see some of those showers continuing to make their way through, especially if you're in southeast Georgia this evening. So some light showers around Woodbine, across 95, Kings and Folkston, seeing some of that. And again, over towards Cumberland Island and Brunswick, seeing some of those showers. These are just light to moderate showers making their way through this evening. Nothing of concern. Also moving south by Lake Butler, Lake City, across I-10 there, moving across 301, seeing some of those light showers as well. So don't be surprised if you see some light shower activity continuing this evening. We're also cool, 55 degrees in Jacksonville already, 56 in Arlington, 61 degrees at NAS Jackson. Those temperatures will continue to be cool this evening, 51 degrees in Brunswick, 51 degrees in Waycross, 55 in St. Augustine, and 55 degrees in Jacksonville. We are going to have a full look at your forecast, though, coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Danielle. President Trump's impeachment trial enters a critical week.
The steps that will be taken in the trial after the president's legal team wraps up their arguments, that's still ahead. But up next, cases of the coronavirus continue to rise here in the U.S.
How World Health officials are looking to contain the virus. It's coming up after the break.